You've seen them in the gym. Headphones in before they even hit the door. Hood up, eyes locked straight ahead. They walk in, go directly to their spot, no nods, no conversation between sets. Just wait, timer, next set. They're not rude. They're sealed off. Like they built this invisible wall around themselves. And to everyone else, it just looks like discipline. Most people explain it away. Introvert, got into the habit early, doesn't like small talk, or just that kind of person. But there's something deeper underneath, and it's worth understanding. Research on solo athletes reveals something consistent. When people get used to training alone, they need the results to depend entirely on them, not on a partner, not on someone else's mood that day, only on their own effort. Psychologists call this a high internal locus of control, the belief that your life is shaped by what you do, not by what happens around you, and it works. These people really are more consistent with their habits. But the question isn't whether it works. The question is where that belief came from in the first place. A training partner who cancels last minute? For most people, it's just annoying. For someone who always trains solo, it's something else. It's confirmation of something they already knew. Don't build your consistency around another person, because people let you down, always, sooner or later. Better not to give them the chance. So ask yourself, where did that feeling get learned? Most of the time, way before the gym. Psychologists connect this kind of hyperindependence to specific childhood experience. Not necessarily harsh, just unreliable. When people close to you were inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, or just didn't show up when you needed them, kid builds a survival strategy. I'll figure this out myself. It's not a conscious choice. It's a reflex, shaped over years of quiet adaptation. And by the time someone first walks into a gym, that reflex is already baked into who they are. It doesn't feel like something special. It's just there. A parent who said they'd be there and wasn't. A sibling who made promises that dissolved. The small unpredictability of people you depended on. The message got learned early. Don't count on anyone but yourself. That's not a philosophy you choose at 5 years old. It's what your nervous system learns to believe in order to survive the wait. The gym becomes the perfect environment for that reflex. Here, results are predictable. The barbell doesn't let you down. If you work, you grow. No negotiations, no depending on someone else's energy, no risk of disappointment. Just you and what you're capable of. That feeling of control is real. But control always has a price. And the price is something the person stops noticing they're paying. Repetitive physical activity actually activates the brain's default mode network. The part that kicks in when you're thinking about yourself, about your past, about things you haven't fully processed. Solo training becomes more than just a workout. It becomes internal processing. Wordless. Unexplained. Stress, tension, unspoken pain moves through the rhythm of sets and rest periods. That's why these people can rarely explain why silence matters so much. Because everything's happening inside. Words would just get in the way. Here's another detail. People who train alone often develop what sports psychologists call an internal coach. An internal dialogue system that manages pace, focus, how they respond to fatigue. A constant internal narrator that pushes, adjusts, reframes pain as progress. Without external support, the mind builds it from inside. That's powerful, but it's also a barrier, because someone who only talks to themselves ends up only hearing themselves. The internal coach becomes the only voice that matters, and over time, external voices, even helpful ones, start to sound like noise. And that's where things start to shift. Most people talk about this type with admiration, discipline, mental toughness, real work. But there's something nobody says out loud. Sometimes the gym isn't a place of strength. Sometimes it's the place where you can be vulnerable, and nobody has to know. There's something called chronic self-reliance, a state where you've become so used to depending only on yourself that any vulnerability starts to feel like a threat. Not weakness, actual threat. That's not freedom. That's a prison that looks like strength. And one of the first signs is the inability to let someone just be near you without internal panic, even during a workout. Here's what research shows. Shared flow, that state of complete absorption in a task alongside another person, actually feels more saturated, more alive than solo flow. Not because of conversation, because of something nonverbal that happens between people in mutual effort. Something alive, hard to describe, but it feels like real presence. Someone who never trains with others doesn't know what that's like. They might know the gym better than anyone, but they don't know what it feels like to be seen in your struggle. When someone nearby watches you strain through that final set and they just stay quiet, not judging, not commenting, just there. And that presence is what scares them the most. So here's an honest question. Not judgment, just direct. Is the gym the only place where you feel like yourself? Or is it the only place where you don't have to worry about someone seeing who you actually are? Those are different things. The first is strength. The second is a wall you stopped noticing. Solo training gives you something genuinely valuable. Focus that's hard to find in the noise of other people. A rhythm that belongs only to you. The freedom to move at your own pace without explaining yourself to anyone. No performance, no judgment, no translation. That has actual measurable value. You don't need to defend it. It's real. But self-reliance built on the belief that people can't be trusted, that's not the same as choosing your own path. One limits you, the other sets you free. The difference isn't always obvious from the outside, only from inside. If you look honestly, you're in the gym, earbuds in, next set waiting, nobody around. And maybe that's your choice. Or maybe it's a pattern that stopped being a choice a long time ago. The difference is small, but it's the difference that matters.